TBIs are very common in accident cases, particularly those involving violent blows to the head or even violent jolts to the head. We see these a lot in fall cases in supermarkets or on job sites. Auto accident cases are probably number one. Cases involving violence, sports-related injuries, instances more rare, but instances involving explosions. Most people understand that the brain will sustain injury from an object hitting the head, or in extreme cases where a shattered piece of skull impact the brain, but they may not be aware that the most common types we see, albeit they more mild, are actually sustained from severe jostling, for example, during whiplash sustained in a car accident or due to a hit to the body, equivalent to what we see with these NFL player injuries. We tend to classify them in terms of severity, the most severe TBIs being those involving actual physical damage to the brain, such as bruising, swelling, torn tissue, or bleeding. In cases I've seen involving severe brain injuries, we will likely not know the full effects of the damage for a number of weeks, if not more likely months. Below that, you have your mild TBIs, which can have wide-ranging physical and psychological effects, and these side effects tend to show up over days and more commonly weeks following an event. The immediate physical symptoms are typically loss of consciousness, a state of feeling dazed, followed by a headache, nausea, drowsiness, speech issues, and loss of balance. Then you have sensory issues like blurred vision and light sensitivity. On top of that, you have cognitive, behavioral, and mental symptoms, likely the worst part of it. These are lasting feelings of depression, anxiety, sleeping more than normal. Some folks are tired, but they can't sleep. When they're awake, they experience mood swings or concentration issues. Lastly, you have the more common, or what they call moderate TBIs, or like your standard concussions. These usually involve the initial feeling of daze or loss of consciousness. In these cases, you'll see many of the symptoms you'll see in the mild category, but typically over a shorter period, say with symptoms resolving in hours or hopefully only a couple of days. The immediate onset of symptoms are nonetheless scary and very serious for clients. And so we fight for them like anything else. And the symptoms they experience, the tingling in the limbs and loss of consciousness, vomiting, certainly, that nausea, the hopefully short-term confusion. These are very serious symptoms for our clients. So even in what they would call the mild or moderate cases, we certainly fight just as hard because we know how they affect their lives. It's important to point out too that children between the ages of 0 and 4 are highly susceptible to these types of injuries, and they experience many of the same symptoms, but it's harder to detect, right? Because they can't communicate as well. In those cases, we've learned that doctors usually look for changes in eating habits, unusual irritability, loss of interest in their favorite toys, and like a general depressed mood. Again, right, it has a profound effect on people's lives, and certainly with children where they could be dealing with these effects for a number of years. I've only become more committed to handling these cases as the years go on. So hopefully that's some good information. Just